In this video, we're going to create a nice donut chart, and this donut chart has specifically the numbers written in here. And this is from the donut chart itself. It's in in chart.js. The numbers are here also in the canvas. You can see here, and you can also see here we have this nice rounded item here, making this donut chart very, very interesting. And if you look at this here, you'll see it's directly in here. We have no other tricks except the canvas itself, which is a very nice and useful thing to learn. So let's start and explore this. So we won't be using any CSS tricks to use this, just pure chart.js. In this video, we're going to focus on one of the viewers' questions, which is how to add text and value at the center of a donut chart in chart.js. So this was a question from one of the viewers, so let's go and look at it. So in this video here, it was about how to reduce the label ticks in the x-axis in chart.js, which is a quite interesting video as well. However, in here, I got a question from Coding. And Coding, a special thank you for Coding for asking this question, asked the following question. Nice, I have a question, please help. How to add a text percentage at the center of the donut chart circle in chart.js. I want to show 97%, and I want to load the donut chart animation when the page scroll to the donut chart. Is there any way? Alright, these are two questions. I will make two videos for these because each of them, I want to keep them individual because there are different parts that you need to know. What I'm going to focus on is this here, and this is a really important one. The main reason for this is I'm going to show you the way how you should do it as a professional. Instead of, I've seen in Stack Overflow many suggestions about basic ways with CSS, HTML, and then you do a fixed position, and then you have position absolute, etc., etc. Those are not the way you should do it. You should do it in the canvas itself. This is the most appropriate way to do it with chart.js. I'm going to show you the official way to do it. Alright, to do this, I want to first create a donut chart. First of all, so to do that is I'm going to chartjs.org. I'm here using the latest version as of now, 3.4.1. In here, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to make this here, paste this in here. The next thing what I want to do here is click on Getting Started, submenu. We have here this option. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to remove this one here. And then what I want to do is here, I want to get the JavaScript library of chart.js. You can see here and copy that. So once I copy this, give it proper indentation. Tap, tap. All right. Delete the white space or the excess space. Then in here, what I will do first, class, and say this is the chart box class, and then give it a fixed width. Because this is a pie chart or donut chart, we'll say here the chart box width. So basically here the box, which is a class. We say here the width will be 400 pixels. So once we have this, we can save that, but before I change that, I want to save here. And say here, this will be donut. Save that. Alright, ignore that. Refresh. So now we have a donut chart, but there's still something missing, or at least this should not be in here, and I want to have a nice narrow ring, which is a percentage cutout. So let's go here, comma, and then we say here, cutout. This is, remember, in chart.js version 3, you say cutout instead of cutout percentage. This is a string. So we say 90% with percentage symbol. Alright, once we have that, let's remove the scales here. We don't need any scales because it's a donut chart. Save that, refresh, there we are. So we have a nice narrow ring, beautiful. In the center, we're going to work with the text. So we should show here a specific text. And the next thing what I want to do now then is to break it down in the structure that we're supposed to use, which is the official structure that the documentation is using now more and more often. Here we have the setup block. We have here the config block. And then we have here, we have the render or initialization block to draw the chart. Alright, so what I'm going to do here, basically here will be a constant data equals this semicolon. Then between here, we're going to grab all of this here. And the reason we're doing this is, and I'm repeating this very often, just for one reason, to make sure you understand how to do this. because this is how the chart.js documentation is moving towards. Understanding this will be beneficial for you. Alright, so once we have that, the next thing here is we do the same one, but then for the config. So we say your constant config equals curly braces, semicolon, and in here we're going to grab what I would call the building blocks of chart.js, which are the 3 items, which is the skeleton. Cut that out, paste it in here, remove this space here because we can put a comma here. Why? Because we already have it here. This constant is here, so if data equals data, no need to repeat yourself. So it's already accepted. Alright, then we have here the options. So there we are. Final item. This one will be the constant, and this constant will be my chart, which is the identical name of our ID. Very simple, so we can grab this, cut this out. This here is not necessary, it's obsolete. Why? Because we're going to create a constructor. We say here new chart. Then I'm using parentheses and semicolon. Remember, this is a constructor. We use parentheses and not curly braces. Very important to note the difference. Paste this in here, because this will be our ID that you want to grab. This is the canvas ID, comma, config. Alright, so now we have the configuration, which is dependent on this part here, and this here has the data constant, which means that the config would be dependent on the data. So now you can see we have a nice structure. Delete the excess code below, and now we have this render block is all done. Refresh, nothing changes, but the code at the back end has seen change. Alright, now we have the most important, or now let's start with the most important part, which is creating. What I'm going to do is here, we're going to create a plugin. This plugin can be basically used for any of your Doughnut charts afterwards. So you can use this for all your creations afterwards. So I'm going to make a new block, and this block will be called I'll give the plugin a counter plugin. Is it the real term for it? Not really, but that's alright. Counter block plugin. You can give it any name you want, or show the value in the center plugin, whatever. Anything you want. Counter is easy to remember, and it's just simple. Alright, so we say here, oh, sorry, that's not what I want. I want to type in constant counter. That's what I want to do. In here, semicolon. Then in here, we're going to work and do some basics. Alright, the first thing we want to do is if we want to create a plugin, we need to say here ID, colon, string, counter. I want you to be consistent here. Use the counter name with the constant and this. Be consistent. Use the same name. Very important, because later on when you activate the plugin, because right now the plugin has not been activated yet, we'll also have the same name. You won't get confused. Once we have this, and we have the plugin, the next thing what we want to do is we want to say here before draw. This is a function, and this function, what it really does is it will start to draw, or it will grab everything and start to load and do its creation before drawing the chart, before the chart has been rendered. So it will look at it here and say, oh, wait a minute, we still need to do this part before we even draw the chart, because once you draw or render the chart, it's like a picture. Once you make the picture, this here will not activate when I work, because it's already, the picture has been already taken. Alright, same process. Values, we're going to use the parameters, chart. Very important, because we're going to grab here basically this part here related to this to draw the chart, comma, arguments, args. We get all the arguments within the chart, and then find options, which is eventually related to this here, and you'll see later on why, because we're going to connect this, creating our own nice terms here, which will connect it with each other. Once we did this, curly braces, and then in here we're going to create our first const, and this const is basically an object itself, which is ctx. This is absolutely crucial, because ctx here refers to the canvas that we have in here, because remember here we have the draw the canvas, get context, which is eventually this reference here, and this reference is the matching here, everything, so it will start to connect to each other and grab everything what we need. And what we need here in the ctx is the following, is the chart area. This is very important. I'm going to explain to you once I've written all the items down here, because, well, or let me explain this. I want you to imagine this here. You want to go here in the center, and this is really hard in Canvas if you don't know how. How do you find the exact center? You might say, well, probably if we have here the height and the width, and we have the width of 400, you can look here. We say 400 by 400. Well, the answer is no, because let's look at it here above. Here above, in the canvas, we have some text. So that would mean that this here is not 400 by 400. There might be something more. So we have to extract this. So we're going to do that. Of course, we're going to figure out the exact center point. So don't worry about that. But to do this, we need to know what's the chart area. So what is the chart area officially? Well, basically, it would be here. All of these lines here covering this. We have the top, the right, bottom, left, which I'm going to write now here. So top, right, bottom, comma, left. So what we have, and what we want to do as well is we want to know the exact width between where the chart area is. Where's the chart area starting? Where's the chart area ending? So we say here width, comma, height, and height as well, because the height would probably figure out that somewhere here we need to know how many pixels is this part here and how many pixels is this here, because to be in the center here we need to figure out this part. Very, very important, but don't worry, I'm going to show you later on once we have this. And then we say here equal the chart. Save that. Alright, so this here equals chart, which is this part here, and we have the CTX chart area, everything we grab here. So we have all the data that we need, all the essentials. So now we can start drawing, because if you don't do this, we will need to have this. Without the CTX here, you will get errors. So we're going to say here CTX save. And this here is basically to save all this data and forget any other data if ever it will have. If ever it had in its memory. Because this is the one we want to work with. Alright? Now we have that done. So to draw something, let's draw something straightforward. I want to create a square where we can figure out the center here. And I'm going to show you then if you would just say 400 divided by 400, or basically 400 divided by 2 would be the center here, you might say. And then here as well, a height 400 divided by 2. Why 400? If you look at the canvas, as I said, the width is 400 and the height is 400. So you would say, well, the easiest way to do it is just say divide by 2. Answer is wrong, but I want to show it to you so you can see what I'm doing here and understand why. So let's draw something. I'm going to draw just a square, a mini square that will figure out the exact center of the center of the canvas. CTX, and then we say here fill rec, which would mean we will fill, or we create a square or rectangular with a filled color. Oh, we need to make sure that there is a color, so we say CTX fill style. Reason why, color first before the size of the item. So you say here, let's make this blue. Alright, semicolon. And here we have basically 4 values. So let me explain these values because this is important. But this will be very, we will not be using this much. But basically here you will understand why we can calculate this. So we have here 4 values, which is called the x0, xy1, or y0, sorry. And then we have the x1, y1. Basically, we're going to work with these 2 numbers. These other here will be of lesser importance for us, because later on the text will be automatically created its own height and width. The only thing is we want to push it to the center. So where's the center here? That is what's basically important. So x0 indicates starting point on the horizontal level, which means left, right, left/right. So here's the starting point. The starting point by default, if you put in 0, is zeros on this side. Oh, sorry, wait, let me remove that. It's really at this exact 0 here. Well, you can just see it here. Really at this 0 line here, because this is the left 0 line. And then, so that is the x0. So the y0 is the starting point on the vertical level, which is top or bottom, or top and bottom, basically. So if you would have x0 and y0, we start just in this corner here. But what we want to do is here somewhere in the center. So you might say, well, the solution is 200 by 200. Alright, let's try that. So we do here 200 by 200, and then what I want to do here is basically the following. This will define the, let me just specify this so you have an understanding of this. This will define the length of the square, or basically of the object or shape. Length of the shape in pixels, but this is on the horizontal level. So if I say 10 pixels here, it will be the length from left to right. It starts somewhere here, 200 by 200, and then here we have 10 pixels. All right, so that's this part. Same story with the y1 would be basically the length of the shape in pixels on vertical level. That's here. So then we say here, we put in 10. Let's save that for now and refresh. All right, so now you say, wait a minute, nothing is happening. Why nothing is happening? All right, we created this plugin. Remember, this is a plugin. Did we activate the plugin? The answer is no, we did not. So how do we activate it? Well, quite simple. In the options, we put in comma. And then we say here plugins. And in this plugins, brackets, pay attention, brackets. And what is the plugin name? Remember, this is why we have the ID here, and this is all constant or consistent, same naming conventions. Save this here, counter. All right, so there we are. We're now moving, but you can see, are we in the center? The answer is no. We are slightly above. How come? Well, the answer is very straightforward. The starting point of our block here, of our chart, is not here at the top. It's somewhere here down. So we need to go a little bit more down here. So how do we figure this out? Well, the answer is simple with the magic numbers we have above here. So we can figure out the starting point where the chart starts. All right. So where is the chart starting? Is basically, let's grab here the top. This here indicates the chart area. So the very top of the chart area is not this top here, but somewhere here, wherever it is, and it will give us the pixel value. So I say console.log. Here, top. Let's show this value. Save this and refresh. As you can see here now, it says here 54 is the starting point here. It means that this is about 50 pixels. So from 50 pixels, or 54, well, you can see here, if the height is 400, and then 54 pixels here, basically we need to add up first 54 pixels, and then we have here the remaining part divided by 2. That would make sense. So you say, well, do I need to make this calculation? Well, the answer is no. Why? We have the height here built in as well. So let's get the height, refresh. All right, don't worry, you can see it loops here. So don't worry about the loop. It loops here because of the effect. And you can see here, it basically gives you the answer that you need. All we need to do here now is just to put the dot in the center, and then after we can start to work with the text. It will be automatically in the center once we align it to the center. So don't worry about that. We're going to do that, and that's very easy. But basically what we need to know here is the official value in the center of height is the following. It is top, and then we have here plus height divide by 2. And what we want to do is we want to put this in parentheses, so we give this priority. All right, and then we save this and refresh. So now we get we get a number here. Let's look at the console back. We get a number. According to this, the number would be 227. Let's copy this number and just double check if this is really true. So remember, y0 is now 227. Save this and refresh, and now you can see it moves here. You might say, well, it's not really 100% in the center. Don't worry. The reason why it's not 100% in the center here is because the block starts exactly at this. If you want to put this block really in the center, you need to have this one here minus 5 basically, or minus 5, because you have to divide this by 2, right? For text, you don't have to do this. The reason why is, you will see later on, we have a text align center, and it will align automatically to the center. And this is your key. All right. So I hope this is clear now. Now it's time to work with the real part here. I'm going to grab all of this. I'm just going to grab this command here, put it back here. And then the height, we can leave this, but then we can get the width. And the width, we can just get it here. And the width would be just 400, basically. Why? It's just this one here. As you can see here, this is the position itself. Completely everything, because the width probably will be the default value. Let's see here. As you can see here, the width is just 400, so no problem. So we grab it instantly, this part here, nicely. All right, so we have the width here. We did this now, we move everything. Let's see here what happened. I don't want this one. I want to check here. Where is our dot here? I'm not seeing the dot here. Divide by 2. So let's double check here. Say this plus top. Maybe we have to give it a priority, or there is something else that we need to consider. Alright, so it doesn't draw yet, so I need to double check here what's going on. The top plus that. We can just give this a value probably, or maybe this is not allowed with space. Refresh. Alright, doesn't work. Don't worry. We can just make a quick constant here. Although I was expecting it's supposed to work, but we can just say here the y center for now. Y center equals this. Fair enough. Then we're going to grab this, delete this, put the y center in here. Save that. There we are. Why are we not working? Am I missing something? Hold on, I will just check. Alright, so I realized what was the issue. Sorry, I realized this is the width, of course. The issue right now, the width is 400, so it pushes our dot all out of the screen, of course. Sorry about that. This should not have happened. We can put this back here. We can just put this here back. And then we just put that here, of course. As you can see, sometimes we do make mistakes, but alright. Let's go back here, and now we have it. Alright, we have this now here. Now we want to convert it into a text. So we have now the understanding. You understand this part here. This is the most important, because this is the one where most people struggle. How do we position in the center? Because basically we have two issues here. Issue 1, how to get the position. And right now we have the position. Issue number 2 is how to write text plus automate the text. Alright, that's what we're going to do now. It's number 2. So this is number 1 here. We have the number 1. We got the position. We already figured it out. But now what we want to do is we want to write the text. And this text will be eventually the one we have. So how do we do this? Well, very straightforward. First of all, what we need to do is we have to say yes, ctx.font, because we want to first create the font, or at least we will define the font size and the font shape. So we say here, font, let's say here, 60 pixels. And then once we have this, we put in a comma, and then we say another one will be the string, and that will be the sans, and then serif, and if I'm not mistaken, this should be all like a string, sorry. Once we have that semicolon, the next one will be, of course, because now we have only defined the font size and the font type, or the font family, but we need to now also indicate here the font that we want to draw. So we say here the following. We say here ctx fill text. This will be eventually the text that we want to display. So we say here, this is string again, 97%, if I'm not mistaken. Once we have that, comma, and then here we need to define the position. The first one will be the width, which is width divided by 2, comma, then we have the top plus height, comma, then here, which is basically the height, or the this is the width, basically what we had here. Where do we start, and then height, which position. So we're going to put it back here in the center. And once we have this, let's save that and refresh and see what we have. Alright, so now you have this. You say, wow, oh my goodness, this is absolutely horrible. You're right, we're not done yet. Alright, so what we're going to do here, well, what we could do here as well is we have here the fill text, fill style. We have this one here. We could still have the text, basically what you could do here, but that's alright. What we're going to do now is the following. Let me double check here just to get this. What we need to do here, of course, is the text align. Sorry, I just have to think here as well. What we're going to do now is the text align. So ctx text align, and in this text align will be equal center, semicolon, save that, refresh. Alright, so now you can see we are now exactly at the center of the center, which is beautiful. So maybe you have this, but now you say, wait a minute, we have this hard coded. You're absolutely right. We're going to soft code this one. We have to soft code this, and probably here we have this text align and text style. I guess the text style, we should have maybe a font color here. I'm sure that this font color is not what you want, but we want to say here text style. We say this red. Save that. Oh, and we need to remove this now. This is now obsolete because this is overruling it. It doesn't work yet, so I guess I'll just leave this for now, and maybe later on we can figure that one out, but that's alright for now. It's not that important. You can probably control that one. But what I do want to do is the following. Let's save it again. Alright, so we can do this. What I want to do next is basically this soft code. To soft code this, let's go in here. So I'm going to do some adjustments here. Very important. First of all, I'm going to assume you have 97% with a 97, comma, and then the other one will be 3. Yeah, so I'm going to use a trick here to show here basically only 2 values. So I'm going to remove all of this for now. Save that. There we are. So we have this here. You can see there are too many labels. Refresh. Alright, so we've got this here. You can see this part here. This is the blue or the hidden one that I want. So how do we do this? I'm going to show you here a simple trick first. So we say here, color transparent. And I'm going to make it a bit more nicer for you. So we have a nice design. Save that. Alright, so now we have this one here. And if you want something more fancy, we have the cutout already. And then we say here, border radius. Just to make it a bit more nicer. 5 pixels. Save this. Now we have this one here. There you are. That looks slightly more tidy or appealing. So we have this one here. What's next? Well, simply this. Let's look at it. We have all of this. Oh, first of all, we want to have this soft coded. This should be all soft coded and under your control because you're going to make a plugin. That's why we're going to use. This is the reason why I use here options. The options will be connected here. Alright, but let's fix this first. We have this one here. I'm going to change here. I'll say here let's say here data points equals whatever we have in here. Put it in there, and then we grab this. We put it in here. Save that. Refresh. No changes. Absolutely no changes. Next one here. Scroll down here. And what I want to do here now is 2 things. You see this here, we want to put this percentage, we need this percentage. But if I save this right now, we're missing our value. I want to get the value based on whatever we have here, which is a soft-coded version. So I'm going to say here the following, which is just this. I'm going to grab the data point, and I want to extract the data point. But what I want to extract the data point, 0, index 0. Why index 0? Because this is index 0, index 1, or element 1, element 2. Alright, so this is index 0. Put in this here, we've got this now, and then we need to connect it. So we say plus, there we are. Save that. Alright, so that works. So if I change this and I make this 55, there you are, that works as well. Beautiful. And then what we can do here is the following. Let's start to fix this because I can imagine you say, well, this is absolutely horrible. And I agree with that. Let's put in here and let's make our plugin really professional so that you can really use it for everything and you can control it yourself, or if ever you need to control it or someone else needs to control it, you can put it in here. So in here we're going to say plugins, and then in here the plugins we're going to say here the name of the plugin, which is the ID counter. So this is why we are going to use it consistently, counter here, and in here what we're going to do is we're going to give it shorthands. Let's first change the color. You say blue here. Well, I don't want this blue here. I want to give it a new name. I'll just say here, this will be font color. And whatever the font color will be, it will be a string, so we say blue. And then when we say here, this blue, delete, options, we make this options. This is why I have options here, as in the before draw. We're going to connect it. Now say, go search in options. In options, it knows it's a plugin in the counter because it figures out this our ID here, and of course this has been connected with the activation. And then it says here, we get here the options, the fill style is this equals font color. Save that, refresh. Alright, so let's change it. Let's make this red. Save that. There you are. Now we have this nicely professionally done. Comma. Next one, what do you want to adjust more? Well, let's say here text align. I'll just say center is fine here, but I would like to do definitely the font size and also the font family. So we're going to give another one. We say font size, and this is also a string, is px, so comma, put in here. And then also what we want to do is the font family. So I'm going to say here comma, and then we say font family sans serif. Cut that out, paste in here. Alright, so once we did this, now you might say, okay, how do we activate this? Well, all we have to do here now is to do JavaScript concatenation. Meaning, options first. Remember we had here the 60 pixels, and here space sans serif. Alright, so remember the space is important. So what we're going to do here is, we say your font size is, we say your options dot font size, space plus, space, we can remove this one now, and then here we want to have the space, and here plus, and then here, you guess it, we can remove this as well, because here we're going to apply the font family option. So we say here options dot font family with capital F. Make sure that this is consistent. So now we have this. Let's save that. Let's make this very tiny. 10. This one here, I have no idea. Sans, maybe serif. I think serif will give you a different one. Refresh. Alright. So it becomes very small. Let's put it back on. Let's make it 100. Save that. Alright, and you can see now it's serif. What's the difference between serif and sans is it has like those edges at the side, or at the very end. So let's save this, refresh, there we are. So what happened now if I do here 100, just to make sure that we have more digits? Will we cut our chart? No, there we are. So basically we're almost done here. What is the last thing we want to do here? Maybe we want to remove the tooltip. So we can say here in the data, we go here in the options, in the plugins, enter tooltip, and then enable. I'm not sure if it's enabled or display. Let's say false. Let's try that. Put a comma here because it will mean that there's a continuation of values. And tooltip always should be in the plugin in chartjs 3. Save this, refresh. No tooltip anymore. Should we hide the legend? Well, I think we can hide the legend as well. So if we say here again, legend, and legend is display. Why? I don't know. One is enabled, other one is display. But we just put it on false. If you're struggling or you're not sure, check the documentation. If you go to documentation here, configuration, you can find it here. Legend display boolean. You can see your plugins, legend. That's the namespace. So and then display is legend shown true, false. Default is true. We're going to set them false. And let's see here. Refresh. Now, as you can see here, now we have to maybe solve this one. I guess I'm surprised what happened here. However, most likely now we have no more a top. But what happened with a top? I would like to know. So I'm going to say your console log top. Then we can fine tune that as well. This is a good practice exercise. Semicolon, save that, refresh. 0. Alright, so we say here, where are we? On our top plus height divided by 2. So what is the height and why are you responding completely different than what we should expect? Copy that. Alright, height works here fine, and I'm surprised that this is not. So most likely in this case, if you are going to have it like that, probably this is your solution here. Am I correct? Height. Let's double check here what's going on. I was not expecting this. We have this one here, height divided by 2 and 4. So just give me a few seconds. I will double check this because this is a good exercise for me as well. Alright, I just figured out the formula, so I have great news. We're very close to it. I just had some items. The reason why it goes up or down right now, we have an issue here, and this tiny issue is so easy to solve. Our issue is the font size. So we need to do some adjustments on this. we create a tiny formula. So basically what's the answer here to put it here? I'm going to show you the formula, or basically how we can put it in the center here. It's basically this formula, or this is the answer. Font size, this is the formula. Font size, so if this would be 100, so let me give you a console.log. 100 multiplied by 0.68, which means 68%, and then divide by 2. Or this will give us a number, and that will be 34. This would be equal to 34. If I save this, refresh, 34. All right, this is the number we need. So if we put it here, we have the height here. This was about 200 already, so we did 234. Save that, refresh. All right, so this is the formula, and then the same if we do 50 here. Let's save that. I will soft code this formula as well, so don't worry, but I just want to show you so you understand it. So if I do the same here with 50, would be this, at 34 instead of 34 divided by 2, because this is a half, is 17. So if I save this, refresh, you can see now it's also in the center. So this formula, let's soft code this right now. What we're going to do here is a tiny adjustment in this font size here. I don't want to do font size anymore with pixels. Yeah, this is a string. I'm going to remove the string. We're just going to make it a number. Alright, so I want to make sure you have the right one here. So in here, the font size here, the only thing what we need to do here basically is the plus px here. That's it. So once we have that, it will not change at all. As you can see, it all stays same. So now what we can do, of course, because I wanted this, because we have the font size here. If you have the font size here, save that, refresh. You can see here we get 50. Alright? So let's remove this one here. We don't need this. Save this again. You can see here 50. This is the one we need. So all we need to do now is basically the formula 50 multiplied by, because what we did was multiply by 0.68, which is 68%, and then divide by 2, which in other words means if you would just multiply directly instead of divided by 2, just multiply directly by 34%, you get the same answer. So what we're going to do here is, well, you guess it, we're going to get the width, or not the width, but we're going to get the height, divide by 2, plus this multiplied by that. Alright, so I'm going to put this in parentheses just to ensure that this is giving priority first before it does anything else. Although it should be, because the plus is a lower level compared to this. This gets priority. Division and multiplication get priority on sum or deduction. Remember that. However, just to ensure. So now let's see if we have this. Save this, refresh. Alright, that looks nice. Let's try now again. We do now 60 pixels. That's what I had. Alright, that looks beautiful. Next one. Let's do this 160. As you can see, there you are. It works. It blows out in proportion, but it works. Alright, so let's put this back to 100 pixels. And we have everything. This is exactly what you wanted. If you even want to match the color here, what we could do is we can grab this color here. We can grab this and put it in there. We can do a constant as well. Here for the background color constant, bg color equals. You can grab these two brackets. There you are. Put it in here. Semicolon at the end. BGC for background color. It's going to grab this, put it in there. The border color. Oh, maybe we should do even the border color. I realize, because the border color was not transparent. Basically, this is the one we should have. Sorry, we want the solid color here. So we say I will just give it a border color, and this will be number 1. You will see later on why. Then we can grab this one here as well. We could even put it in here. Font color. We can match that here. Border color number 0. First one. Save that. There you are. So now you can see that, although it's quite hard to see. Well, I like the red one a bit more, but this is basically how you can put this in here. So I hope this answers your question. If you struggle with the positioning here, put them in the comment section below, and I will make sure I will get back to you regarding to that. For the other one, we're going to deferred loading I will make another video specifically for that and get back to you on that, because that will be used it's a whole special plugin for that. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you enjoy this video, you probably will enjoy this one as well. And if you're interested in chart.js, check out in the description box the link directing to my chart.js course, where you can learn everything about chart.js. And finally, of course, make sure you subscribe to my channel.